Hey there, we have like eons of stories to tell, so if you want to follow us along on this journey and keep up with all the stories that we have putting out, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Hey, what is up, everybody? Chad here, and today we're going to be starting a new story. This is basically Namor setting a revolt against the surface dwellers, right? We're going to see like why that's going on during the story, but for right now, we just know that they're going to, be at odds, pretty much, right? So, if you remember, like this is like immediately after the final host, right? So, basically, Robbie Reyes, the Ghost Rider, he wasn't a part of the team, the Avengers team before this. So eventually, like he's like getting inducted into the Avengers team, like right now, right? So he's like going up, and he's basically trying to like meet with Captain America. They start training and stuff like that. And he's basically like talking to Captain America, and we actually find out like this is like a few days after the final host was defeated, right? So like during the final host defeat, we have all these Celestials, right? The Avengers, Loki, he's just sitting there, he's subdued, and basically he's talking about like his intentions, like why he was doing what he was doing, pretty much, right? He was basically saying that he was doing it because he was trying to bring the Avengers back together, and basically so what Loki knows is that there's more dangerous threats out there than just the Celestials, right? Like everyone knows that like Loki says that all these cosmic beings, like all these things, like they know that humanity was just like a cosmic infection, right? Coming from the horde, right? Them and the progenitor. And basically he's saying like there's more, like there's more eyes on y'all, like there's more things like focused on y'all, and they're coming, And basically, what happens was while he's like doing that, he's just talking to all these Avengers. The Celestials, they like scoop him up, right? They scoop him up, and they have like they're planning on taking him away, right? So, with that going on, they end up like telling the Avengers, like they have a gift for him, like they're not talking to him, like Ghost Rider can just, communicate with him pretty much, right? And basically like he's saying like, oh, well, they're just gonna give us a gift, stuff like that. And basically what they do is they raise the progenitor's body, right? The progenitor, that's the Celestial that was dead, like the dead one from underground. They're basically raising his body up, right? Because they can't bring him back to life because he's been dead way too long. He's been dead for like billions of years, I think like 4 billion years. He's been dead for a long time, so they can't bring him back. So they raise his body up so that he could be in the sun. He's not just like underground, just like rotting away, stuff like that. So this is where we get Avengers Mountain, right? That's Avengers Mountain. The progenitor, his body, they end up like inhabiting it, like moving into it, stuff like that, renovating, like they just moved into his body. And basically with that going on, Tony Stark, right? This is like back in the present. So Tony Stark, he's like asking like Captain Marvel, if she'll stay with the team, right? And she's like thinking, she's like, I mean, I could, but like should I? Like all the stuff we've been through recently, like should I? And basically what that means is there was a story called Civil War II, right? So Civil War II is basically this story. It's about this guy, right? His name was Ulysses, right? So he was an Inhuman who could basically like quote unquote see the future. He's not necessarily like seeing what will happen in the future. It's not like like if you were to time travel, like that is 100% what will be happening. Like when you get there, it's more so like it's a possibility of what it could be. Like there's a chance that could be happening if you time travel to that time, but it's not necessarily what would happen, right? And it's not like a fully like fleshed out depiction of the future. You don't see like everything that's going on. You just see like a small moment in time, right? So it caused like a bunch of problems. Like I'm not gonna like say what all happened, because there's like a bunch of different stuff that happened in that story. But it wasn't like a necessarily like good story. It was okay-ish. I mean, I didn't really care for it, but it was it furthered a bunch of different stories, right? So basically what happened was he was seeing like these like visions of like people committing crimes and stuff, right? So Captain Marvel, she took it upon herself to go and arrest these people before they made the crime, even though there's not a necessary 100% chance that they will commit that crime, right? Because there's like one point where like he saw a Hydra agent, and she had like this suitcase, and it was like, I think it was like bombs in it or something, and basically like they went to go and check, and it wasn't there. So he's not always right, which means like if you're arresting these people for something that they could do, which necessarily isn't what's gonna happen, are you still morally good? Like would it still be worth it? No, it's not. And basically that was Tony Stark's stance in it, right? So like that's one reason why people hated Captain Marvel so much. Like people hated her in that story. She was horrible. But that's basically like what happened in that story, right? And eventually they got into a fight. So they got into a fight, and Captain Marvel, she ended up killing Tony Stark. So Tony Stark ended up dying at the end of that story. And basically, that's why what she's talking about, right? Because he was like brain dead and all that stuff. He ended up like dying, and she's basically saying like, can we like be friends after that? Like would it be smart for us to be on a team together, stuff like that? And he's like, I mean, yeah, we can keep it professional, we can ignore, actually act like a team should be. And basically like that's what like the whole gist behind her questioning it, pretty much, right? So she ends up like agreeing, and, you know, they walk off. So from there there's these Atlanteans, right? These Atlanteans, they raid this Roxxon oil company ship, and basically as soon as they get up there, like they climb up there, and as soon as they get up there, they get gunned down by all these guards. These Roxxon guards, they just like start spraying these guys. So back with the Avengers, right? They're in the middle of like looking for a leader, right? So they end up like voting Black Panther, because, you know, they're saying like, okay, yeah, you're probably the best fit. But they basically vote Black Panther, right? And eventually they get this alert from the Southern Ocean, and all these Atlanteans, all three of these Atlanteans, the ones that like ran up on this Roxxon ship, they are hanging from the, like, just like straight up, like just hanging from the Roxxon ship. They just like, they killed these guys and hung them on the ships. So while they're debating what they do with these, what to do with these Atlantean bodies, these large tentacles, like this huge tentacles, just just come out of the water and just like start like grabbing all these guys. They're just snatching these guys up, just like murdering all these dudes. And Namor, the submariner, he just like rips open the ship, and he just comes in there with all kinds of wrath, like ruthless. He's just like going ham on all these guys. Like Namor, like they just earned the wrath of Namor. You don't want that, okay? Namor is a different kind of beast. Like if you even so much as look at his people the wrong way, he will murder you and not care to, like, not even think twice about it. Like that is something you don't do with Namor. That's actually a very like one thing that happens in a bunch of these different kingdoms, like in Marvel. Like if you touch any of Black Panther's people, you know, in Wakanda, he will murder you and leave you. If you touch any of the Inhumans, they will murder you and leave you. Doctor Doom's place, Latveria, if you touch any of them, like that's just something that all these kings do, and Namor is no different. He will, if you get the wrath of him, just say bye, like that. Just say bye. That's all you can do at that point. So later we end up getting like Tiger Shark, right? Tiger Shark, and he's basically on this cruise ship, and he's going to try to find this guy Stingray, right? So they end up like fighting, and they end up falling into the water. And like as soon as they fall into the water, Namor, he like swims up, and he like breaks it up, right? You know, he's like, okay, yeah, y'all are gonna stop fighting right this second, and it's best if they listen, because if they don't, they're gonna see what's gonna happen in like 2 seconds. So Namor, he's like talking to him. He's like, okay, yeah, like I want y'all's help, right? And basically Stingray, he's like, I mean, is this another one of your, like, you know, war on the surface dwellers kind of help? Because I mean, if so, I mean, we no. And as soon as he says that, Namor just looks at him. He's like, nope, and he just starts crushing this dude, just like destroying his face, right? He just beats the hell out of this guy, like leaves him like, you know, leaking. So as soon as he gets done like pummeling this guy, he tells his sharks to eat this dude. Like Stingray just died, like he's out of the way. So he ends up like, Namor like looks at Tiger Shark. He looks at Tiger Shark. He's like, okay, what's your answer? And Tiger Shark's just like, yeah, I got you. Oh my god, because like imagine, oh my, that is horrible. Like seeing somebody do someone like that, like you can't argue with that person. Like you just gotta really go with what they say. Like he was terrified. He's like, okay, yeah, I don't want that. And so they end up like leaving, right? They end up leaving to go look for more allies, correct? So what they do is, like, a few days later, you had the Avengers, right? They end up like I mean a few days earlier, right? The Avengers, they end up like rushing to Atlantis because they had just got that distress signal, and they're just trying to, like, you know, see what's going on pretty much. So they're underwater, and basically like while they're like swimming to Atlantis, these Atlanteans, like they run up on them and they just start like trying to fight these guys. So all these dudes, they just fight them off. Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, all these people, they just fight off these Atlanteans. And like eventually one of these Atlanteans has like this horn, right? He has like this horn, and he like blows it, and as soon as he blows it, this huge sea beast just like pops up out of nowhere. This huge sea beast just pops up, and he's just like just going through, just like tearing all these people up. He eats Ghost Rider's car, like he just like tears all this stuff up. But eventually they're able to like put him down, right? So they put him down, and eventually Namor shows up. As soon as Namor shows up, the very first person he goes after is Black Panther. There is a reason for this. That is not just random. So basically there was this story called X-Men versus the Avengers, or Avengers versus X-Men. And basically what happened in that story was there's this Phoenix Force, right? There's this thing called the Phoenix Force. It's basically like the representation of all the life that ever lived, does live, or ever will live. You know, it's super powerful. Basically that like potent form of energy was like split between these 5 people. Namor the Submariner was one of them, and it was the rest of them were just X-Men, right? Colossus, Magic, Cyclops, and Emma Frost. So with like what happened was eventually like they Emma Frost was like, you know, she was using her, you know, like manipulative, you know, nature, and, you know, she was just sitting there making, you know, people do stuff. And eventually she like told Namor that she should, you know, that he should attack Wakanda, you know. But eventually like he does that. He lays waste to Wakanda, floods it, destroys most of it, and basically pisses Black Panther off. But the only reason that Black Panther couldn't do anything about it is because Namor wasn't himself, right? Namor, he was basically like possessed by the Phoenix Force. You know, if he wasn't possessed, you know, he wouldn't have done that, right? So he knew that he couldn't do anything, but his sister Shuri did not care. His sister Shuri, like, she took some of the Wakandan forces and they went to Atlantis and just like destroyed a bunch of it, right? So they were that basically, like, you know, solidified the, you know, like the vendetta that they basically have with each other, right? So that's basically like what he's talking about, you know, like talking about him being there pretty much. So with that going on, Namor, Thor and Iron Man, they gonna try to punch this dude. Nothing happens. Fighting Namor underwater is not really a necessary, like, that's not something that's gonna happen. Like, he just stopped, he stops Thor's Mjolnir in his tracks. He stops Iron Man. Captain Marvel tries to punch this guy, nothing happened. He just laughs it off. Like, there is no fighting Namor here. Like, if they were on the surface, okay, yeah, a lot of these guys could probably take him out. Underwater, not so much. He's stronger than all these guys here. He's faster than all these guys here. He's not stupid. So I mean, look, there's no realistic way for them to like fight him underwater and actually win. The Hulk tries to fight him. She gets put down. And eventually the only thing that works is Captain America. So Captain America, like, you know, he shows up and he ends up like talking to to Namor. And Namor, you know, he agrees to talk to Captain America because of all the like surface dwellers. Captain America is probably the only one that he respects, right? Because Captain America and him, they were basically a part of this team together, right? The what was it? The Invaders, I think. And basically, it was him, it was the original Human Torch, it was Bucky Barnes, and it was Captain America, and those four were was the team. And basically that's where, you know, like the long-term friendship that those two have with each other comes from, pretty much. That's why he's like he's willing to only talk to Captain America. So Captain America, like, you know, he offers something, right? He's like, okay, if you let us, you know, take these prisoners to the surface, you know, I'll make sure that they're properly prosecuted, right? I'll make sure that they don't, you know, just get off, right? You know, stuff like that. And Namor, he's just like kind of, you know, like, I mean, I don't know, bro. And he basically starts telling them about, you know, how the Celestials, right? Because remember back in the final host, the Celestial bodies, they were just like falling out of these portals, right? They were like falling out of these portals, and basically one landed in Atlantis and it destroyed like most of it. Like these things are huge. The Celestials, they're like thousands of feet tall. So one just landing in Atlantis will destroy like almost all of it, pretty much, right? So Namor, you know, he's like pissed off. He's like, all right, whatever, go take the prisoners. So the Avengers, they take the prisoners and they leave. What Namor does is, so he like swims back to this little cave, right? So he had the children, the young Atlanteans, like hiding in a cave, right? You know, until like he had the matters, you know, resolved and all this stuff. And basically, like, they swim away from him. They basically just like lost trust in him, pretty much. So they swim away. And like a few days later, we actually like find out what happened to them, right? So he's basically talking to these people, right? And he's basically talking about, okay, yeah, the children, they swim away. They went to the beach, you know, they went to the surface, basically trying to, you know, like find salvation, right? Because they don't like being here. Like everything is destroyed. They don't know if they're gonna be, you know, protected, you know, stuff like that. And basically they went up there, and like as soon as they went up there, they started dying because they basically couldn't breathe. You know, their bodies aren't made to be breathing air, pretty much, right? So they died, and like while they were dying, the humans, like, they were just sitting there just laughing at the children. And basically, you know, like that pissed Namor off. And, you know, he just like went and found a team, and basically they're gonna go at war with the surface dwellers. Him and his team, the defenders of the deep, all the people that he went and gathered, are gonna go at war with like everyone on the surface, pretty much. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and I will see y'all in the next one.